Hey, Shalom Israel, Most High in Christ bless. Hey, listen, we just gonna get right into this video. It's another butchering of the scriptures by an apologist, and let's just get right to it. They love to take our videos and remix them and then try and put their own spin to them, but we're gonna find out that they don't know the Bible. All right, so let's get to it real quick.
And it says that they will come out of every tribe and every people. So if it is your argument that Israelites are in other tribes and Israelites are in other people, then guess what? Other people can be in the tribes of Israel. Other people can be Israelites. In Acts chapter 2, which you mentioned, it specifically calls out Elamites. Either Elamites are non-Israelites that are Jews, or Israelites are Elamites. Well, if Israelites can become Elamites, then Elamites can become Israelites.
Come on, son. What you mean? Are you telling me that they really believe that Israelites can become Elamites and Elamites can become Israelites? Now, I know he was kind of using that to try and back his point, but it still makes no sense when you deal with the scriptures. When we deal with the scriptures that it was going into, Revelation chapter 7, verse 9, I know they want the great multitude to be everybody. The great multitude that's talking about, that's mentioned in Revelation 7 and 9, are the Israelites. And we're just going to run through the scriptures and get right to it, right? So let's get to it real quick. Let's start off with Revelation chapter 7, verse 9. It says, after this I beheld. Oh yeah, and we reading out of the King James Version Bible. So it is what it is. If you don't like it, tune out. Revelation chapter 7, verse 9. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. So if you just read this, for the first time and you never read Revelation chapter 1 all the way to chapter 6 before you read 7, then you wouldn't understand what that means. You would think what the other nations think it means. It's talking about everybody. But let's do some more reading. All right. So let's go to Revelation chapter 5. Chapter 5, 5 comes before 7. Revelation chapter 5 and verse 9. And it reads, and they sung a new song, saying, thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof. For thou wast slain and hast redeemed us to God by thy blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation. So right there is already set up that the Israelites were going to be redeemed out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation. So you have to ask yourself, why do they ignore Revelation chapter 5 and just deal with Revelation chapter 7? Because it fits their agenda. Now, let's move on, because he mentioned Acts chapter 2. And I know why he mentioned Acts chapter 2. So we're going to read Acts chapter 2. They don't like to start at verse 5 for some reason. I'll let you figure it out. So this Acts chapter 2 and verse 5. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven. Now we just read in Revelation chapter 5 that we would be redeemed out of every nation, every kindred, every tongue. We just read that. So I'm going to go back, Acts chapter 2 verse 5. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven. I mean, that's pretty clear. But I'm going to keep reading. Verse 6. Now when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded, because that every man heard them speak in his own language. That's why it goes into out of every tongue. Verse 7. And they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, behold, are not all these which speak Galileans? And how hear we every man in our own tongue wherein we were born? So it's still, the we is still talking about the Jews. It says where we were born. So now it's about to show the places where these Jews were born. Verse 9. Parthians and Medes and Elamites Elamites. So that's what he's going into in the book of Acts chapter 2. The Elamites. These Elamites, they were Jews that were born in that land. That was their citizenship. Just like it says Paul was a Roman, but we know by blood he was an Israelite. The same thing. These Jews were born in these lands right here. Right? So now, just to even give it a little more, I'm going to go into a prophecy. Right? So this Isaiah chapter 11 and verse 11. To go deeper into the Elamites, it says, it reads, and it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people. The remnant of his people, which are the Israelites, which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam. So those are the Elamites right there, the remnant of his people. And from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. Verse 12, and he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. It's very clear what it's talking about. It's talking about the remnant of Israel that's scattered, being brought back together with the dispersed of Judah. We can see this in the New Testament. Now let's get the prophecy on it. Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 27. And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither the Lord shall lead you. So we see right here that the Israelites are going to be scattered. We're reading about the remnant. We're reading about these Jews that were devout out of every nation, and how they're going to be redeemed out of every nation. So we're showing you that that great multitude in Revelation chapter 7 are the Israelites that were scattered in those nations. Let's get some more. Let's go to the New Testament. James chapter 1 verse 1. James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. The 12 tribes are scattered abroad. We can see that over and over throughout the Bible. So I really don't understand what these apologists are talking about. I really don't understand the confusion. But guess what? If I wasn't an Israelite, I guess I would want all nations to be saved also. So hey, listen, the best thing you can do is leave the Israelites alone. If you're not an Israelite, then guess what? Keep the commandments of God, and maybe you can be shown some mercy. But keep the commandments anyway. And look, I'm going to leave y'all with this. One of my favorite little Edomites. Just a message for all you apologists. You might want to listen to. All right? Leave us alone.
Threats just can't ever be quenched. Your fantasies can't ever be quenched, can they? You freaking threats! When will you learn? When will you learn that your actions have consequences?
That's freaking retarded.
Okay. You know the prophets we don't play. I see a king when I look in the